saying. Welcome to Cumulus Cares, the 5-station platform for community. I am so excited to be back in the studio. It's been a while, but this month we are focusing on politics. We're focusing on community. We're focusing on engagement. So I thought it would be fitting to bring in somebody who's been on everybody's show. I was like, wait a minute. Let me bring in somebody who's been on everybody's show, especially since I see him every other day. His name is Doc Montgomery, and I'm so excited to have you here today. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on the show, Omari.
Good. So we see that you are moving. You are doing a lot in the community. You have a new podcast.
Yes, what's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc? And I just want to know, what's really up, Doc? I want to know what's really up. I mean, it's so much going on in the community, and you're somebody who has emerged, who is unafraid to be vocal, and you are using you're a public defender.
Yes.
Right? And so you're using your skills and expertise, your profession, to really help and bring impact in the community. So I want to learn more about what you're doing specifically. Tell us about what is it like to be a public defender, a young public defender in Caddo Parish, amidst high incarceration rates.
Yes.
And let's talk about politics in the community.
Okay.
So you go first.
Okay. So you're absolutely correct. I currently am a public defender for Caddo Parish. Particularly, I work with kids. I'm a juvenile, and I hate using the word juvenile because it removes the humanity from the kids. And these are kids. This used to be us. And I specialize in criminal defense for the juveniles, for the kids, for the youth. It's been a very interesting experience because the way that the youth court and children's court system operates is different than the way that the adult system operates. The adult system is about punishment, whereas the kid system or the youth system is about rehabilitation, or is supposed to be about rehabilitation. What really matters is if you have good prosecutors, if you have good defense attorneys, and most of all, good judges. Good judges. We think that it's just with the system, but if we put faces and names and positions to these people, if we put faces and names to these positions, then we see we really do have some power in our future, and seeing what our future is going to be and navigating our destiny.
Absolutely. And that makes so much sense. I think it's interesting that you bring up prosecutors and judges and attorneys, because I think that when we think about situations such as maybe a young person involved with police brutality, our laser focus is just on the police. We don't think about the judges that are making judgments or whatever. And so, and you talk about political power. There is clearly a disconnect. Number one, if we're focusing on the police and don't understand the powers with the judges and the prosecutors, and they're teaming up, then how do we close that gap and close that disconnect between understanding what these positions really do and really who is holding the power?
You know, when you've been a victim of the system, you often disengage because things move kind of quickly in that system, and you don't know what happened to you. So all you know is you got arrested, and the next thing you know, you get arrested. Now you're sitting in jail for anywhere from 48 hours before you see a judge. Then you see a judge, and you got a public defender that you just met that's telling you, okay, plead not guilty. Then the next time you may hear from that public defender again is 30 days later or 60 or 90 days later when you have your court date. Well, prior to that, you haven't even, like I said, the last time that you saw the public defender, and it may have not been the same one, is when you now have your court date. And so things are just happening so quickly, and you don't know what's going on. So when you now have your trial date, and now they're pressuring you to take a deal, it's not necessarily pressuring you to take a deal, but it's saying we can fight it, but the odds are truly stacked up against you. The deck is truly stacked against you. When you've been convicted of something and now your life changes because of that conviction, all you're looking at is, I got arrested for this, I went to court and I got screwed. But not knowing why you got screwed, right? Not knowing who screwed you. And so oftentimes the first person that they see is the public defender. Oh, my public defender gave me up. In fact, the public defender is probably the best person to make deals for you if you don't have money. Because the public defender is the one who has relationships with the prosecutor and also with the judge. It just now depends on what kind of public defender you have. If that public defender is out the gate with swinging,
right,
then although he creates extra work for the prosecutor and for the judge, they respect that person because they know that they're going to advocate vigorously for their clients.
Right, and see, that's the thing. It's so subjective.
It is.
So, I mean, if you get a good public defender, good on you. But if you happen to get a public defender who maybe is in bed with whatever the dynamics may be, then what is your method of repercussions? How do you challenge that? And of course, we're talking about people don't even know who's holding the power, so they don't know who to challenge.
Exactly.
So how do we, if adults are feeling disenfranchised from the process, how do we empower young people to really engage in this very subjective system?
We have to have frank conversations with young people, really, and lay out how the world really works. I think what we do is we stick on idealism so that we can at least have a good standard of which to work from and which to grow from. But as we get older, we realize that the world doesn't work in an idealistic way, and people don't follow the rules, and people break rules. People who are in power don't follow the rules and break rules. So what we have to do is give our children the best defense and best offense, and the way that we do that is giving them tools and giving them knowledge and giving them skills. If they know that don't talk to the police, say, I would love to help, but I need to talk to my attorney. I don't want to talk anymore without my attorney. Am I free to go? They say no. Okay, well, I want my attorney. I refuse to answer any more questions. I do not answer. I'm not answering any more questions. We really have to give our kids, our children and young people, the knowledge and skills that they need to not become victims of this system.
So let's talk about access, because if we need to access the youth in order to be able to impart those knowledge and those tools to them. So if we get them once they've been arrested, then it's kind of reactive.
Right.
So how do we access young people before the infringement, before they've been arrested?
You got to meet them where they're at. You really have to meet them where they're at. You have to be visible. They need to see you, because young people want to trust you, but they don't trust you it's difficult to trust you to see if they don't see you.
Exactly.
So we have to be visible. We have to be talking with them. We have to be interested in what they're interested in and being able to relate our experience to them. Now, as young people ourselves, we look at it from the perspective of, well, the older people or the elders are, in their 60s and 50s and 70s, right? But we're the elders to those children.
That's right.
We're the ones that they're taught to listen to, that they're looking to listen to. We're still young, fly. We're still all of that. So, but we're professional.
Right.
So we're able to connect with them because we still listen to the same music. We may not necessarily do the same things, but we remember what we were doing at that age, and we have to really connect with them. Once we make that connection with them, then we're able to really empower them, because we're not talking at them.
Exactly.
We're really talking to them and talking for them. So the kids know that once they have somebody that's really talking for them, then you got them. You really have them. I walk into the detention center, and the kids now see me. Even if I'm not their lawyer, they want to come and talk to me because I'm visible. I'm there every day. We have to make ourselves available, and that's the way that we invest in our future, is by investing in the children.
Exactly. And I think sometimes in the advocacy community, we find people are working for our youth but aren't really connected with and don't have a relationship with our youth.
Right.
And so how do we make sure that we are represented in the advocacy community in a way that makes some substantive impact? Because we have a public school system that needs our help. We have schools full of hundreds of young people who are getting in fights in school, who are maybe on a trajectory toward interacting with the criminal justice system, but I'm not seeing us there, the people who they can look up to and really listen to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how? And I know you talked a little bit about being accessible. I love to see more of us in the schools, but where young people are at are on social media.
Yes.
And I think that's what distinguishes like somebody who graduated from high school in the early 2000s and those who are graduating now. Social media is literally at the fingertip throughout the school day.
Right.
And so they're seeing fights on World Star Hip Hop. They're seeing all of these things. How can we take over and start flooding them with political education?
It's got to be interesting. It's got to be entertaining. Fights. Why do we watch fights? Because they're entertaining, right? We're all waiting to see that person get hit with a two-piece.
Yeah.
But as horrible as that may sound, when have you walked away from a fight that was nearby? For your safety, but you would want to be a safe distance away just to might be able to see what happened, right? Just to spectate. That's human nature. That's human nature. So what we now have to start doing is creating content that is entertaining and educational at the same time. So if that means we're shooting small short films, if we're doing parody videos, if we're doing all of that to be able to reach them and get them the information that they need. They have to tune into you. They have to know that you're a real person. They have to know that you're a person that went through their experience and understands what they're going through. And the way that you do that is by showing yourself and also giving it to them in the mediums that they're consuming. Right.
And so that sounds good, Doc. And it really does. It sounds like exactly what we need. But as I'm switching gears a little bit, as we move into kind of the second part of this political season and we go into a runoff, right? And we're realizing young people are not voting. And when I say young people, that's, 18 on up, our age group too. And we hear every voting, every election season, our ancestors bled and died. And that's real. And that's deep. But it doesn't seem to be resonating with young people in a way that's really lifting them off their seats and moving them to the polls.
Right.
How do we close that gap?
That's the billion-dollar question. That's the billion-dollar question. I don't know. But what I do know is that people will spend money on Balenciagas but won't spend money to vote.
That's what I'm saying.
So what I'm saying is if they had to pay to vote, I think we might have a totally different reaction.
So basically, we have to play mind games. In order to move in our own best self-interest. Because I'm not saying let's vote for kicks and giggles. I'm saying we have to vote because our health care is on the line.
Exactly.
We have to vote because education funding is on the line. We have to vote because these important basic necessities to our life is on the line. And you saying we have to play with our people in order to move our people. That's a sad diagnosis.
The thing is that's what I'm talking about idealism, right? We would like to think that our people are that aware of their interests to know that this is something that we need to be involved in.
Yeah.
We would like to know we would like to believe that our people have their priorities in order. Time again, we see that our people don't have their priorities in order, and that's why it's a responsibility on us as leaders and as influencers. I can't elevate you until I meet you where you're at. I have to get you elevated. But the only way that I do that is I can't show you an example and then hope for you to want to come there. I have to show you why you should be there. When you see the difference in the way in the lifestyles of somebody who is politically involved versus somebody who isn't politically involved, when you can show that there is a direct connection between your lifestyle not being elevated and your lifestyle being elevated as a result of being politically involved. That's not just voting. That's going to city council meetings. That's building relationships with government officials. That's holding government officials accountable. When you see that your life changes as a result of that, then you get people more interested and more involved. Then it's relevant. The thing is that we can talk all about what people died for and this, that, and the third. The thing is people are going to say to you, well, what has changed in those 40 years or 50 or 60 years? How has our conditions truly changed from then? So you died and did all that for what, right? that's a sad way of looking at it. But that's the questions that's being asked. And so, okay, well, the world that they lived in is not the world that I live in today. So now, because we've been so apathetic and we've been brainwashed to believe that our vote doesn't count, that our voice doesn't matter, we're silent. We're silent in this political process. But the way that we do it is we really have to create. It has to be popular, and it can't be popular in. It has to be popular and entertaining.
Yeah.
It has to be popular.
And that's just the reality.
That's just the reality. That's just the reality. Nobody wants to. You don't want to see no ugly politician getting up there telling you that you need to go vote. You know, you don't. You don't want to see ugly people on television no way telling you. Hey, I'm just.
And you know what? That's the honest truth. It's the honest truth, and I think. And I'm an idealist. I am, but also I understand that it's important to recognize reality if you really want to get the job done. And so you're so entrenched in criminal justice. You're funny. So you're so entrenched in criminal justice, right? Every day I consider you a practitioner, right? And I'm very interested to know, what do you want to see? What change do you want to see? Does it involve young people? Does it involve criminal justice? Or is it something altogether different?
It definitely involves young people. It revolves, surrounds, includes, integral to young people. Definitely want to see young people. And not just criminal justice. I want to see it more economic. I want us building our economy, because if you build the economy, you have a way of controlling the politics. And if you control the politics, then whatever resources that are publicly owned, you can now make those resources work for you. So right now, everybody pays taxes, but not everybody sees their tax dollars working for them. However, when we go to other communities and go to other places, we see our tax dollars being used to help somebody else, and we don't get that same benefit. On top of that, the way that you tax poor people is through the criminal justice system. That's you're in a lower socioeconomic bracket. Don't worry, I'll get it up out of you. I'll get it up out of you. I'll ticket you. I'll have things like the sagging, the ban on sagging, where I can ticket you for things like that. I'll get it up out of you. So for young people, we really have to economize our influence. We have to economize the attention that we get, because we truly are the trendsetters. But what do we own? What do we own? We when you look at even the content that we post on sites like Instagram, we don't even own the content, right? We create the content, but we don't necessarily own it. We don't own the platforms that we put our content out on. So how can we really exercise any real power if we don't even own the content or own the or own the platform? So on YouTube is so powerful, because now I can decide on billions of eyes being able to see that. What if I wanted to be able to target my people with the message that they need? I don't even have a platform to be able to do that. So as young people, we really have to rethink the traditional way in which we communicate, and the traditional way in which we approach power. The reason why Balenciaga and Gucci and all these other places, the reason why they are powerful is because people will spend their money there. The reason why that we've made Gucci and these other fashion labels powerful, because we give our money.
Because they found a way to market to us.
They found a way of finding our power. Not only is your money your power, what did you have to trade in order to get that? Your time, your energy, your talent. You literally are giving your life to brands that don't give a damn about you. Excuse my language. Right? But they don't care about you. They don't care about your interests or your community. Is any of these places going in and fixing your potholes in your neighborhood? Or is any of these companies coming in and creating economic development? And let's rephrase that. Not just economic development. You got a small mom and pop shop that needs employees. Are they going in there and helping that out? Are they going in and educating people on what it is that they need? In order for me to empower you, I gotta educate you, because I can give you all the tools in the world, but if you don't know how to use that tool, you just flapping in the wind.
Right. So what's really up, Doc? What do we need to do? How can we help be a part of that change?
Well, it's about getting involved with grassroots movements, really grassroots movements, and being able to think about it from a total vertical, being vertically integrated and understanding how our power is developed, where we derive our power from, and how to execute and deploy that power for our own interests. We don't know what our interests are, and that's one of the major issues. Is that if I don't know that I need to if I don't know that in 10 years I'm going to be a parent, I'm not going to be thinking about education issues today. I'm not going to be thinking about how the fact of if I choose a mayor, the mayor is going to choose who the police chief is.
Right.
The police chief is going to decide on what kind of officers and what kind of policies he's going to have. Or the judge.
Yes.
The judge is going to determine. If I don't have a sympathetic and empathetic judge, I just have a judge that's out of touch. And that's a scary thing, because although the police officer can end your life right then and there, the judge can make sure that you spend the next 100 years behind bars.
Wow. Yes.
So it's making sure that young people are involved in political movements where they are included in an integral part. If you have a movement and there are young people involved, you're irrelevant, you're not useful, and you're unproductive. You have a dying organization if you do not have young people involved.
Well then, it seems like you have so much more where that came from. And I know you have a new podcast. So let listeners know how they can access your podcast, how often it comes on, where they need to go, all that good stuff.
Well, my podcast is called What's Up, Doc? Where we're going to be talking about economics, power dynamics, politics, social issues, and social justice issues. We air every Thursday at 8 p.m. Sometimes we're going to be doing it live on Facebook. Other times it's always going to be on YouTube, though. Every show that we record is going to be on YouTube, but doing it on Facebook Live, and sometimes on Instagram Live as well. But you can reach out to me at the What's Up Doc page, Trill Constitutional Podcast. Also, you can reach out to me on IG at docmontgomery.co. And yeah.
It's on.
It's on.
It's
going down.
I love it. It's really good energy, and it's really refreshing to see that in Shreveport.
Yeah.
And I know, and the folks holding these cameras know that that we've been moving. Young people have been coming together. It is November. It is election season. Every guest that comes on the Cumulus Cares, I always ask them, what is something you want to leave with the audience that you don't want them to ever forget?
The only rights you have are the ones you exercise. You don't exercise your rights, you don't have them rights. So if you got the right to vote and you don't use it, guess what? They're gonna take it from you pretty soon. They're gonna take it from you pretty soon.
Well, you heard it from Doc first. Thank you so much, Doc Montgomery, for coming on to the show.
Oh, man. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Queen Omari. I appreciate you.
You are welcome. And thank you to our listeners. I hope you continue to have a wonderful weekend. As always, this 5-station platform for community is for you. If you are interested in coming onto the show and talking about something that is community-oriented, email me at cumuluscares@gmail.com. In the meantime, you continue to have a wonderful weekend. Thanks so much.